What's up, people? We are back with more of Danganronpa 2. Don't be confused, this is not Danganronpa 1. Nope, in the previous video we actually returned to the ancient ruin slash Hope Speak Academy, and yeah, we are here. We are at the gymnasium.
I knew you could do it!
Look at that distortion. I don't know what the proper term for it, so I just call it distortion. That's probably not what it is called, however, but yeah. We were told to investigate, and I'm really curious as to, like, what the fuck? How did we just leave the gymnasium and now enter the 5th floor? How are we already, what? Anyway, I'm really curious as to, like, you know, the differences as to what happened between when we last were at the Hope Speak Academy, you know, at the very end in Danganronpa 1, and now. Because it's safe to imagine that there's been at least some passing of time in between that, right? So perhaps things have changed. I don't know if, how much and what exactly, so I'm really curious about that. As well as the information that Monokuma provided, saying that none of it is a lie, that's actually all the truth. So I'm gonna take his word for it, so we better not be fucking lying, of course, but without further ado, let us continue and just be surprised again, because why the fuck are we suddenly on the 5th floor? Huh? That's weird. This is the hallway I walked through to get to the gymnasium, but it's clearly different. Is this Monokuma's doing too? See, this is what I referred to sort of at the end of the previous video before we went to the gym. Is that we're being guided in a specific direction, like they want us to go here now, I sort of feel. I don't know who he or this is, but I feel like this is at least one of the possible explanations for this. Is he trying to confuse us again? I don't know how he's doing it, but he keeps doing it over and over again. He's so persistent. But I'm not gonna fall for his trap. There's no way this will make me back down. Alright, Sonia is here. Hello, Sonia. This hallway, there's a strange feeling to it. No? Well, there are more strange things going on, but yeah. As if an invisible wall has been erected to limit our movement.
I am concerned.
Is it just me? Invisible wall? You mean this thing, right? Yeah. And this thing too. R actually mentioned it or called it, named it invisible wall. I'd say that's pretty accurate. Okay, this really makes me look like I'm entering the fucking Matrix or something. The green. Enter the Matrix. That's really fucking awesome, actually. I want to do it again. In slow motion this time, because now the back of the hallway actually looks black. Dun 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 dun. Fuck yeah. Alright. Let's see which rooms actually are available. This was the garden thing with the huge fucking ass plant. Oh, the dojo. So the only place available here is the dojo. So I'm guessing the parts where we actually do have access to is like parts that are, I feel like, kind of not entirely resolved in Danganronpa 1, remember? Because the proof that we found at this room in Danganronpa 1 was, I believe, like the bow and arrow and stuff like that, I believe. And although I feel like it definitely fit at that time, but I just feel like there's gotta be a reason why only this particular place is where we're allowed to go right now, right? Is this a dojo? It's full of strange things that make me think there's no way we're inside a school. Perhaps it's a mistake to expect the inside of this building to make sense. Let us see, start from the left side. The good old armor statue thing is here. It's actually not a statue. They just put the armor in such a situation that from a distance it looks like an actual person is standing on it, but that armor is just like, it's a complete body armor, so without actually being empty on the inside, you can actually make it look like it's, you know, something there or someone. It's armor and a helmet. Did the map developers design this to reflect a Japanese dojo? There's this book here. I don't think we saw this here before. A History of Hope Speak Academy by Monokuma. What is this? Is this a manga? the title is Manga for Morons. Well, give me that. A History of Hope's Peak Academy by Monokuma. Why is a manga with such a suspicious looking title laying out in the open like this? Let's start with history first, class!
Hey,
Reading manga is the third best way to learn about history. Then what's the first, you ask? That depends on the person. What about the second then? So, just as I thought, Monokuma made this. That totally explains how suspicious it looks. I really want to just ignore it, but there's no way I can do that. Fine, I'll look at it. I'll look at anything that might be a clue to getting out of here, no matter what it is. I picked up the manga off the floor and started flipping through the pages. I was starting to think, like, does this girl look familiar or something? Or what is that, like a pet cat? But she doesn't, I don't think she looks familiar. It's an introduction to Hope's Peak Academy's history, as narrated by the cutesy character on the cover. The story begins with an introduction to Hope's Peak Academy. Hope's Peak Academy is a government-funded school of privilege where only the most talented high school students can hope to attend. Built to raise hope in the nation's future, many of its alumni are key leaders of various industries. What if it's all like a... I don't want to say like a something like a cover-up or something, but you know, like the fact that all of the graduates of this school are key leaders in various industries. Could it be that maybe they're all brainwashed and then like they've taken over the country in some sort of way? I don't know. That's maybe a bit far-fetched, but it wouldn't be too... I mean, you know, like if all these people at the same school, they know each other, they're connected in some way, you know? So even if they are in different industries, because you have this connection with each other from your school life, it wouldn't necessarily be too far-fetched that... I'm not gonna say that they're like actively work together or to fuck up the world or take over the world or whatever, but imagine if you're put in a scenario, right, where like for example you're in the business industry and you're doing some sort of deal with someone in a different industry and you actually know that person because you went to that school. So you're a little bit biased in that sense if these two industries with these certain people clash with each other, you know, or at least come face to face when it comes to business or anything else, I feel. So, I don't know, just the fact that it's like all of its alumni key leaders of various industries, I feel like it could be possible that they're connected in some sort of conspiracy or something, I don't freaking know. New students are chosen through a scouting process, but the ones who scout them are Hope's Peak Academy's teachers, who serve as both educators and researchers of talent. Hope's Peak Academy isn't just a school for talent, it is also for researching talent as well. Researching talent, okay? So, So with researching, you would generally think something along the lines of tests, right? You perform tests to research the results that you're trying to get. Like, usually with research, right, you have a particular sort of goal in mind or a particular result that you think you'll achieve, and then you do the tests to see if that is the actual result you will get. That's some sort of... I'm not sure if that's like the actual meaning of research, you know? The definition of it. But it is some form or some part of research for sure. However, for the past few years, Hope's Peak Academy has been suffering from a decline in funding. If this persists, the Academy believes they will not be able to make progress with their research of talent. So they decided to implement a new system. The Reserve Department. Ah, here we go. Okay. So I was questioning it a little bit, but it's gotta be true then, the Reserve Department does exist. Unlike the main department who scouts for students, the Reserve Department utilizes a general entrance exam. Normal faculty was hired and placed in charge of looking after the Reserve Department. The expenses and exam fees for the Reserve Department are quite high compared to most high schools. Nevertheless, Hope's Peak Academy received an endless stream of applicants. Hope's Peak Academy was now available to talentless commoners, people who only cared about the brand. And with this, Hope's Peak Academy managed to amass sizable funds and began further research of talent. I think I actually cut that out of the video because when I was editing it and like checking back, I actually thought like this sounds incredibly stupid when I said that. And usually I leave most of the, or pretty much like 95% of like the theories that I have in, no matter how far-fetched or ridiculous they are. But with this one, I could have actually left it in, I don't remember, but it's been quite a while. But I thought, this time I actually just thought like, wow, this sounds too stupid even for me. So I'll just take it out completely. Don't want to embarrass myself, or at least not more than I usually do. But the thing that I think it was something along the lines of it's equivalent to like Hajime's parents like bought his way into the school just to sort of, you know, show off his kid like, oh yeah, my kid is part of the Hope's Peak Academy. But it actually seems to be at least some truth to that weird ass statement that I made back then. To create Hope's Peak Academy's earnest wish, a true genius who would become mankind's hope. That's their earnest wish, a true genius who would become mankind's hope. But just when they thought everything was going well, an unprecedented incident occurred. The incident that triggered the tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. That's right. It was the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Hope's Peak Academy was crippled by this incident and was forced to shut down without accomplishing anything. The end. That's such a Monokuma way to end it, just like, on like, you know, such a high note, and then the end. Huh? The ending was so sudden. Like a manga that suddenly cancelled in the middle of its run. Plus, these phrases mentioned at the end of this manga, the tragedy, and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. That's actually interesting that it seems like they talk about it in a way like it's two different things, you know? The tragedy, you got the tragedy and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. But I feel like the tragedy did occur at Hope's Peak Academy, right? That's like, or is the tragedy like the big picture, everything that happened around the world, and the tragedy at Hope's Peak Academy was the incident that started the entire bigger tragedy. So yeah, let's just refer to it as that. Like, you have the bigger tragedy, which was like the thing that occurred around the entire world, and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. I feel like if we differentiate it that way, it makes it at least less confusing. So if we have those two, I think that's kind of how it worked, right? That the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, you know, the killing that happened here, that sort of kick-started, was the beginning of the tragedy around the whole world, the bigger tragedy. I think at least that's how, if I remember correctly. These names are so melodramatic. There's no way these incidents really happened, right? This manga only mentions the names, so I don't really know the details. But nah, it'd just be a waste of time to wonder about things that don't make sense. More importantly, I learned something because of this manga. The reserve department. That department was only built to collect money. It sounds like fucking Trump University. I was one of those reserve corps students, right?
But hold on.
That's weird. Oh, you're here again.
Shing!
Ah, the thing that's weird is you, of course. Huh? Are you here to tell us that we actually aren't a reserve department student?
Hey! Hey!
Why did you forget that you were part of the reserve department? Oh, that's true. That's a good point from Monokuma, actually. Because if he's part of the reserve department, that's mean, because the thing that happened, right, if it happens similarly like it did in Danganronpa 1, all of your memories up until the point that you enter Hope's Peak Academy on like your very first day, right, that is usually the last memory that you have, and then you have this whole empty space which you don't realize, but it's like those 2 or 3 years at the school that's just been completely erased, and then bam, you're suddenly at a different location. In Danganronpa 1 it was just the Hope's Peak Academy again, but at the Killing School Life, and then bang for Danganronpa 2, it was you're at this island. So the thing is, right, if only the years that the student is participating and, you know, at Hope's Peak Academy as a student, if all those years are the only parts that sort of erased from their memory, why does Hajime indeed not remember that he's part of the reserve department? Because that is a process that happens before he enters the school, right? Like, his parents should probably know, like, hey, you should... I guess the only explanation for that is that he's not been told. I'm pretty sure that's it. He just wasn't told that he was going to be joining as the reserve department. So that means his parents just actually, I'm assuming, either someone else sponsored Hajime to go in there to buy his tuition fee or whatever to join the reserve department, and he just never told him, or it was his parents themselves. But either way, I feel like he just wasn't told that, therefore he doesn't know. So it's not like it was... like, the thing that also could have happened is that they kind of did with Kyoko. With Kyoko in Danganronpa 1, they were deleted like a little bit extra of her memories, right? They deleted the fact that she won't remember what her ultimate was. So, with Kyoko was the only one when they removed more of her memory than only those 2-3 years at Hope's Peak Academy. With all the other students, it was the same. So I was thinking maybe with Hajime it's kind of the same, but it doesn't seem likely, but it could be. I just think it's more likely that they just didn't tell him about it, and that everybody just, the only parts of the memories that is lost is those years at the Hope's Peak Academy, as normal, regular students.
The Future Foundation only took away your school life memories, right? But you should have known even before you entered that you had no talent, right?
Or his parents, well, the thing that could have happened was Hajime's parents coddled him so much by keep telling him, oh, you're so good at this and that, while he secretly was just horrible shit and had no talent at all. Or he secretly has a talent and he just doesn't know it. It could be that as well. But this is the danger, right? Right? Like, if people keep telling a person that is horrible at something, they keep telling them that they're great at it, they actually believe that they are actually talented at it. And I kind of mentioned before, like, it's not bad to do something that you love, regardless of how good or bad you are at it. You just kind of have to, you know, understand and realize, okay, if you're not good at it, not saying that you shouldn't do it, definitely not, because it's all about the fun that you have, right? I may be bad at singing, but I do still sing because I find it fun. But, you know, you shouldn't tell another person if they're shit at something to, like, just say that they're incredible or amazing or something. I'm not saying that is the cause behind why Hajime doesn't know that he has no talent or whatever, but for some reason that always comes to mind.
So, I think it's weird that you actually forgot something like that too.
What do you want me to say?
By the way, based on my assumption, the Future Foundation must have wanted to hide the fact that you are one of those reserve course students.
That could be too, yeah.
I got it! Or you willingly sealed those memories yourself.
I actually think that's more likely, because remember that flashback during a dream that Hajime had, like where he was sitting in that school chair and all those nameless other students, which I assume was like the school that he went to before Hope's Peak Academy. They were kind of just poking fun at him, right? Like, is he going to Hope's Peak Academy? Well, Hope's Peak Academy must not be as prestigious as we thought it was, right? So it could be that he was just being bullied for that or whatever, or just people were making fun of him and he just doesn't want to remember those parts, like wants to protect himself, like, fuck that. I don't know. This actually seems more likely, I think. I mean, it could be the other thing as well, that the Future Foundation didn't want people to know that there was a reserve course student, or reserve department. But why?
Huh? You wanted to be confident in yourself, so you wanted to forget everything that embarrassed you. You know, when humans experience trauma, sometimes they erase their memories of what happened.
It's true, it does it's very rarely, but it does happen, to just protect themselves.
It happens pretty often. Not that I know anything about that, though. Are you saying it's my fault I forgot? That's not it. Come on. When things get inconvenient, you always get angry and try to brush it off. Well, that's expected of reserve course students.
Poor Hajime, he's just going to have to endure this for the rest of his life. Wasn't the whole point of this, right? I feel like maybe Hajime went home to his parents one day like, oh my mom, dad, they bullied me again. And then their parents was like, enough of this. We'll buy your way into the best school on this planet. And then, you know, they bought his way into Hope's Peak Academy thinking the bullying would stop, or, you know, people would actually treat Hajime just either as a normal student at the very least, or a special student because he attends Hope's Peak Academy. But no, people actually now ridicule him about the fact that he's a reserve core student. I mean, it kind of makes sense given the environment that he's in, you know, because he's the only reserve core student among all these other ultimate students, but still, can't help but feel bad for Hajime because the thing that he was trying to avoid is now even at this place still haunting him. Damn it! What the heck? Oh, we're actually getting... Okay, so we gotta prepare for a class trial. Because at the save file, it actually said that it was deadly live. So, I was interested, like, the first thing that obviously came to mind, deadly live usually means someone has been killed. Not sure if that's happened here, but the fact that we're gathering clues, I think it's just like one big class trial to try to uncover the truth of everything. So yeah, the fact that we're actually gathering truth bullets as well makes a lot of sense. Alright, anything else? We got the cherry blossom trees. This cherry tree is in full bloom. It may be a tasteful sight to see a blooming cherry tree inside a dojo, but in this situation, it just looks bizarre. I'm not entirely sure if that's word for word the same thing that Makoto said when he saw this, but one thing, I'm probably overthinking this, but cherry blossom trees only bloom during certain parts of the season, right, of the year. Not sure when those parts are, or what seasons they bloom at, but considering that they look fairly real, it's either not much time has passed since the last time, or it's been like an entire, you know, the seasons during which it doesn't bloom has passed already and it's now starting to bloom. Like, I don't know. The thing that I'm trying to point at is kind of interesting that it's still apparently the season where cherry blossom trees are in full bloom. That target seems pretty far away. If the production team had had more time, there could have been a mini-game here. Wait, what am I saying? Indeed, what are you saying? Yeah, okay. It kinda seemed like Hajime just broke the fourth wall there. There's a straw post. I guess that means it was used for training. Alright, the locker. Let's look at the locker. There's a bunch of wooden lockers here. Each of them has a traditional looking wood block key sticking out of them. I guess they're just for show. There's nothing in particular that looks like a clue. Really? Check the last locker? No? Come on! Ugh. Damn it. I mean, it looks brand new, right? Either someone cleaned it up after the events of Danganronpa 1, or this is before the events of Danganronpa 1. I'm not sure. Is there anything else here? Doesn't look like it. Right, let's exit. Where do we end up now? I think we're just gonna be teleported at a different place. No, fuck me, of course. Whenever I do say that, that's not gonna happen. Oh, there's another part here. The 5A classroom. Kazuichi's here.
What's going on?
This hallway, it's kinda creepy. I can't go to places that I should be able to go to. It's like some rules being enforced for no reason. It's like there's an invisible wall or something.
Everybody keeps saying that. So nothing new got revealed. But this is the one that we came from though, right? No, we didn't. It looked like we came out of here, but we didn't. We didn't check this after that. Yeah, there's only one important thing here really. But we'll do that last. The clock doesn't have any hands. What time is it right now? We can't see outside, so I don't even know if it's night or day right now. Is there another manga here or a book? This is another manga. It's laying on top of the desk. This one is Manga for Morons, The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. Huh? Oh, this is the sequel. This is part 2. Wasn't The Tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy mentioned in that other manga too? It's why Hope's Peak Academy went bankrupt, and it was the trigger for the biggest, most tragic, most awful event in human history. What? Does Hajime actually know that? I feel like this is information that he should not be aware of, right? It's why Hope's Peak Academy went bankrupt. Because I feel like that was, unless that was mentioned in the book that Nagito got from Hajime, from Monokuma, after he completed the final dead room, or the life-threatening game at the final dead room in the funhouse in chapter 4. Unless that information about Hope's Peak Academy going bankrupt was in there. I mean, yeah, it was kind of, I guess, mentioned in the previous video that they were, you know, strapped for cash. Yeah, okay, maybe. Because the thing that I was thinking about was like, the only part where they really mentioned sort of bankrupt was, I think, chapter 2 in Danganronpa 1, where Byakuya was like, that entire chapter, Byakuya was just, you know, trapped, and not trapped, but like he kind of almost locked himself inside the library and just read everything there was about there, right? And we found that particular file about Hope's Peak Academy as well, like learning a little bit about its history. So, okay, but I guess you could kind of draw a logic conclusion from the previous manga that we read that Hope's Peak Academy could have possibly gone bankrupt, but it sounds like he's so sure it's the reason why they went bankrupt. Whereas, I feel like, I don't know, it's just that the word bankrupt wasn't used in the previous manga. So I'm a little bit hesitant to say like, should he actually know about this or not? But, I don't know. If I read this manga, will I be able to learn a little bit more about that incident? That face doesn't seem like someone I recognize either. I took the manga from the desk and started flipping through the pages to see what I could learn about the event known as the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy. The story made use of heavy use of outdated, stylized drawings depicting characters solving mysteries. What's written here is, as the name suggests, the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy occurred at Hope's Peak Academy. The key player in that event was a student named Izuru Kamakura. Okay, that's a name that is definitely not familiar, right? I think? Izuru Kamakura. Izuru was a genius known as a symbol of hope. Hope's Peak Academy used all their resources to develop him. Supposedly Izuru was a genius among geniuses and possessed various talents. Wielding superior talent for the hope of mankind, the Academy referred to Izuru as, here we go, the ultimate hope. What? Okay. So, we kind of learned what like the wish of Hope's Peak Academy was, right? It wasn't just to gather all of these students that had, you know, that seemed to be talented and to develop them further for the cause of hope. It seems like they had just they wanted to gather them out just for this one person. Like that was their ultimate goal, I feel, to just develop this one person that has superior talent for the hope of mankind, and that just turned out to be Izuru, and they just continued to develop him, and he was then referred to as the ultimate hope. But that's what Makoto called himself as well. To protect such rare talent, the Academy completely concealed all evidence of Izuru's origins and identity. And because of that, most of the students at the Academy were completely unaware of Izuru's existence. That makes a lot of sense why we don't know about him either. But Izuru, who was known as the symbol of hope, was responsible for a horrible incident. 13 students of Hope's Peak Academy Student Council, among the Academy's best and brightest, were brutally murdered by Izuru. However, the incident did not end there. The Academy tried to protect Izuru's superior talent and concealed the incident as though it never happened. This kind of really makes me think of like this, you know? Like these researchers who are trying to create a superhuman or like a robot or whatever, you know, and that robot at the end, or their creation at the end, just turns against them and then it ends up killing them. Like, you know, it kind of reminds me of that. Or this is actually a really old reference, but you know, kind of like I don't know why the first Pokemon movie comes to mind about Mewtwo versus Mew, but you know, where Mewtwo is like, he was kind of created, right? And you see him in like this vat of liquid where he's like, just like in one of those tanks where they usually are in Dragon Ball Z as well, when they're trying to regenerate faster when they're wounded. He was in one of those tanks, and then Mewtwo broke out, and I think he killed his creator as well, or the professor that was like researching or developing Mewtwo, and then he just killed him. It kind of seems like this, like Izuru just, for some reason, turned on him. Maybe his power got too much. I don't know what the fuck exactly happened or the reasons why it happened, but it seems like that a lot. And then of course they tried to cover up because they all put so much resources into it. You don't want that information to be leaked, and especially the information that it has gone bad. However, a certain student began working in secret to use that incident to their advantage. That student uncovered what the academy did, and by making that knowledge public, it stoked the fires of reserve corps students who had long been dissatisfied with how they'd been treated. And the uprising began. And that heralded Hopespeak Academy's destruction. This is the entirety of the Hopespeak Academy, of the tragedy of Hopespeak Academy. So it actually seems like, you know, the thing was I think if we go back to the earlier what we said, like the two distinctions between the tragedy, the big tragedy, and the tragedy of Hopespeak Academy, it seems like the big tragedy actually happened because of the reserve corps students, right? Because I think the tragedy of Hopespeak Academy was caused by Izuru killing people here. Someone found out about that, and then that knowledge became public. And the reserve corps students were like, hey, what the fuck? Why are we being treated so badly? Or like, this is the reason why we're being treated so badly, or you know, because they think, oh, we're attending Hopespeak Academy. This is gonna be so awesome. And then, you know, it kind of makes sense that the reserve corps students would get less good treatment than the regular, you know, the main cast, the normal students that actually got recruited to it. So it seems to me like that those students actually started that uprising. So it seems like the tragedy of Hopespeak Academy happened, and because of that tragedy, the big tragedy happened. Eventually, that incident would lead to that horrifying, devastating incident. The incident that would be known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Works cited. Danganronpa /0. Oh god. With a heavy sigh, I closed the manga. Am I supposed to believe this? Yeah. There's no way 13 people were killed at Hopespeak Academy.
What irony! For a genius known as the ultimate hope to cause such a gruesome incident. A talent like that is too regal for society. It's like trying to buy juice with a bar of gold. You should be lucky that you're incompetent.
The way that Monokuma makes it sound is like it's actually bad to be, you know, like a special student to actually have an ultimate. Damn it. He always has to lead up to something offensive. He seriously pisses me off. But ultimate hope? Nagito mentioned that before too, but it looks like it means something completely different here. What Nagito said was the true meaning of hope, but for Izuru, hope simply means talent. More importantly, a genius who possesses various talents. I wish they'd given me one of those talents so I didn't have to be in the reserve department. Yeah, you know, it's like the guy that has $100 million, or like 100 billion. It's just like, if he just gives like 1 million to 100 people, those all 100 people would be happy and he would still have a shit ton of millions left. It's just like, yeah, just share me one of your talents, man. Just one. That's right. The reserve department. Here. It said that the reserve corps students in the reserve department began uprising. Then, what about me? Was I a participant too? No, that's not possible. There's no way. I have no reason to do something like that. Alright, Tragedy of Hope's Peak. Anyway, I've learned about the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy, but the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history is a far worse incident, right? What kind of incident was it? And who's this other student that isn't Izuru? A certain student who secretly used the incident to their advantage. Who is that? The thing was, right? No. Because remember how Junko kind of got into, you know, how she was selected among the 15 students that the principal, or was it? I'll just refer to it as the principal, Kyoko's father, right? He hand selected all of the people at Danganronpa 1, all of the people that he wanted to protect from the outside world, and just, you know, nurture them, raise them here in this to help strengthen their hope, right? And then Junko managed to sort of, by just pretending, managed to get herself selected as one of those. I think it was 16, right? Because of the sister as well, yeah, the twins. So, but that happened after, because the thing that I think, right, is that among the students that were already part of Hope's Peak Academy, Kyoko's father, like, interviewed them. Oh fuck, that scared me like shit. But Kyoko's father interviewed them to ask them, you know, are you willing to actually spend your entire life here if necessary? And they all, most of them at least, from the interviews that we saw, they all said yes. At least the people that, you know, that's participated. Or that, you know, Makoto and everyone else, those 16 students, they did. But all the events of Danganronpa 1 that happened after the big tragedy, right? So I was just thinking, could it be Junko or not that was that spy, but it could definitely just be someone else. This incident is really messed up, but all it's doing is raising more questions. The mysteries just keep piling up. Is there anything else? I don't think there was much else, just the book. Yep, alright, let's exit. Where else we can go now? Has this opened up? It hasn't, right? Or has it? It has! The matrix has opened up. I kind of want to check back. Because it feels like... Well, you know, remember what they said, like, invisible wall? Well, yeah, first the dojo opened up, then this opened up. So they obviously want us to find this in this particular order, right? But it seems like, oh, it almost feels like we're being toyed with, you know? Like someone is just in control and is like, oh, this guy just found out about this information. Alright, he's ready to go here now. Let's remove this invisible wall as they referred it to. Alright, let's go inside the biolab. What does it look like? Don't tell me it's just normal. It's fucking normal, god damn it. The tarp is still there. What the hell is this room? It's freaking cool in here. It's like I'm in a freezer or something. If I just stand still, I might end up freezing to death. I should hurry up and investigate so I can get out of here already. I see you, Monokuma.
I've been found.
I found you indeed. Alright, let's start from left to right. Tarps, oh fuck. This looks like a plastic tarp. Why is this left out like this? Clean up after yourselves, will you? Indeed, you lazy bastards. Alright, there's nothing on here. Refrigerators. I've seen this in movies before. It's a refrigerator for preserving dead bodies. At least, that's what it looks like. But that's not possible, right? Keeping dead bodies in a high school biolab isn't something you should joke about. It just feels so forced. This idea should have been cancelled during development or something. What am I thinking? That's the... Okay. God damn it. Like, they're really breaking the fourth wall, right? Every time Hajime seems to refer or think something along those lines, like, ha! They should have done that, like, in the development, like, oh, these freaking writers, what were they smoking when they thought of this idea, you know? And then every single time after he thinks that, he actually thinks that it's weird that he thought that. Because now he's saying again, like, what am I thinking? Like, it's just, like, it wasn't his own thought. It was just someone else's thought or something. Maybe even our own. No, not, but you know what I mean, you know? It feels like it's someone else's thoughts, and he just surprised by like, huh? Why? What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Alright, I don't think there's anything else here, so let's go on to the third part. Oh my god, it's like the scream, the picture, or the painting rather. There's another manga just lying around here. This time the title is Manga for Morons, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Yep, I knew it. The next one would obviously be about this incident. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history, huh? Just what was that incident really all about? It might turn out to be something lame. I flipped through the pages of the manga and hoped that I was right. Oh my god, is that a double tongue? Like, look at that. It's like a tongue with a tongue behind it. A story about creepily drawn characters who get involved in such horrifying incidents. An incident known as the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. Is this drawn so grotesquely because the incident itself is that grotesque? Anyway, the beginning of this creepy manga starts with this sentence. The tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was simply the trigger. At first, the uprising by the Reserve Corps students that triggered the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy was initially hoped to be resolved quickly, but the situation continued to escalate to dangerous extremes. The movement started spreading all over the internet and fostered a thriving online community. The community was not limited to students, and people of various races and nations began joining in. But the movement was not confined to the internet and began spreading and eroding the real world. When the movement started, it was indistinguishable from any other demonstration inspired by social unrest. But as it spread across the world, certain abnormalities soon came to light. By then, it was too late. The ends and the means had vanished, and wanted destruction, want of destruction? I don't know. Is wonton besides the food, but I feel like it's with an O, not an A. I gotta look that word up. Wonton. Wonton destruction? Because I feel like it's pretty rare for there to be like typos in Danganronpa, so it's gotta be, no, wonton, deliberate, okay. It's actually funny indeed. Like, you see, I go with wonton, right? And then I see this. It's like, yeah, on the left side I actually see the meaning of the word, and like, you know, adjective of a cruel or violent action, deliberate, unprovoked. And then right next to it I just see the picture of the dumpling, wonton. Like, you know, didn't you accidentally just, you know, put an A instead of an O? Like, just in case, you just put it right beside there for us Asians, thank you. But okay, so for deliberate destruction became their only goal. The strong butchered the weak killed the weakest among them, and soon, the weak formed factions to brutally murder the strong. As the violence and death continued to spread, the shock of their actions began to disappear, as if the era was regressing to more uncivilized times, when senseless deaths were the norm. The media was oversaturated with deaths to the point where people would watch them while enjoying a meal. By the time the world realized what it had become, it was too late to stop what had happened. A feeling of immense despair began spreading and eventually engulfed the world. Acts of terrorism and coup d'etats began occurring around the world. A war waged in the name of despair. A war fought not for principles, religion, or personal gain. Just war. Pure war. And because of that, there was no way to resolve it. How could a movement started by high school students progress to such a hopeless scenario? The only explanation is the existence of a certain organization devoted to a certain student who influenced Hope's Peak Academy, a group called Ultimate Despair. Instead of using Hope's Peak Academy's talents for the sake of mankind's hope, they used them for the sake of mankind's despair. Key members of society used their influence to brainwash the masses in order to spread despair. It actually kind of sounds like it, I kind of said conspiracy back then, but the fact that they the graduates, the alumni of Hope's Peak Academy, becoming key positions of the country, they do have a lot of influence over all the other people and society in general, right? So they definitely have the power to do that, but they would all have to indeed be working together on this sort of plan. It could, I don't know. What was it? Instead of using Hope's Peak Academy's talents for the sake of mankind's hope, they used them for the sake of mankind's despair. But this really seems to me like the people, the alumni of Hope's Peak Academy, the purpose of it was yes, for mankind's hope, but they just used them for the opposite of it, indeed, the sake of mankind's despair. Oh god, is that really true then? Tech-savvy computer programmers wrote software to spread despair. The powerful and influential created new values and morals to spread despair. And with this, they created the tragedy, the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. So I feel like this is the biggest part, right? That we actually know, or seems, that the tragedy has been created, like it's been a plan set in motion by people, rather than just an event that escalated into it, It's not just how people reacted to it. Well, okay, it's kind of how that happened, but they planned for this, right? This is what they wanted to happen. That this tragedy was their goal to happen, rather than just it's something that just completely went out of control and people didn't just know that this wasn't anyone's goal. It's just oh fuck, this happened. As long as ultimate despair exists, the despair engulfing the world will never end, or will never end. The tragedy will never end. Okay, so that makes then sense, because it seems like everything depends on it says, if as long as the ultimate despair exists, the situation that the current world is in will never change. So that's why they want to create, I guess, the ultimate hope to defeat the ultimate despair. My heart was racing in my chest, but my body felt ice cold. And it wasn't because it was freezing in this room. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. This is definitely all made up. I mean, if this is really true, then what's happening in the outside world? My family, my friends, the convenience store I frequent, the nearby bookstore, my favorite restaurant. It's kind of funny that, among his list of loved ones, the convenience store he frequents is the third one on that list. What's happened to them?
No way!
Hey! Are you seriously yelling at a manga? How crazy are you?
That happens probably way more than you'd think.
Who would enjoy reading something like this?
What?
Oh my! You don't like manga? A high school student who doesn't like manga is like an office lady who doesn't like to eat candy. Enough! What is this messed up manga? I thought you'd obviously know about such a horrible event that destroyed the world. But for you to not remember that, such despair. That's the Future Foundation's fault though. Thanks to them stealing your school memories. The incident that happened during that period has been completely removed from your brains.
This incident really happened? And I actually forgot about it?
There's no way that's possible.
What are you saying?
How many times do I have to tell you? All the clues here are real.
Hello.
Please understand.
I'm rooting for you. See, this is what I mean. Like, he makes it sound like he's on our side, but like then now I'm really trying to figure out like whose side are we? Like, you know, if we're trying, we've been looking at it, or at least I've been looking at it from this, from the side of like entirety, right? Hope versus despair. But we've sort of known Monokuma as this symbol of despair. He sort of represents despair, right? At least from everything in Danganronpa 1 that we've experienced, 1 and 2 actually. You know, he's just the mascot of despair. And for him to say that he's rooting for us seems weird, because we think we're fighting for hope, right? Or at least that's what we like to think. So who made the change of heart here? Did Monokuma make a change of heart? Are we actually fighting for despair and not for hope? Like, what?
If you don't learn about the full extent of the outside world, you guys will suffer for it. I just want to help you guys so you can live well-adjusted lives in the outside world.
I see. So that's how it is. That's what he meant by what he said at the beginning.
Well, as the headmaster, I'm conflicted, you know. On one hand, I'm really happy that you're finally going to graduate, but on the other hand, I'm worried about whether you guys will be okay in the outside world.
Because we don't, it's simply, right, because of our lack of memories. It's just we don't know what the outside world, if you're unprepared for it, if you don't know what's happening in the outside world, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like putting a lion back into when a lion has been spent in captivity, like a zoo lion or something, you know. When you suddenly put him back in the jungle, he's gonna be confused because he's not used to that environment. He doesn't know how to survive in that environment because every single time he's just been, you know, food comes to him. But then suddenly he has to hunt to survive or to eat, you know. So it seemed like, you know, this adjustment period. So I guess that's where Monokuma's concern lies. But that's why I'm thinking about telling you what the outside world is like before you make a decision. Whether you want to leave Jabberwock Island or stay here.
He's trying to make us feel despair towards the outside world, so we'll want to stay on this island. But there's no way I'm going to do what he wants. Despair like that simply can't exist. The outside world should be filled with hope.
Should. It should.
Just like now. Perhaps... No, that's definitely it.
Alright, another truth bullet added.
Whether or not this incident really happened, what in the world is this ultimate despair group? If they're devoted to a certain student who guided Hope's Peak Academy to its destruction, are they connected to both the tragedy and the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy? Plus, that organization isn't just one person, but a group of people. But if they're known as Ultimate Despair, they're high school students, right? Well, if they were actually able to do it, then I guess that's why we're called Ultimates. Then, are the killings we're involved in connected to them as well? It's no use! I'm going to freeze to death! Alright, let's get out of here. I'm at my limit! I need to get out of here! Shivering, I ran out of the freezing room. We don't want to become an ice block. Alright, let's... Phew. That was close! I nearly froze to death. So where should I go next? I don't know. Probably, I'm gonna make a guess and think that the garden is going to be unlocked? Fuck, there goes my guess. Where is it? We already went to the dojo. Oh, the second classroom. Isn't this the classroom? I think this is the classroom that Byakuya showed us, right? Or is it a different one? I think it was on this floor though, right? That is... Or could it be this one? Is this 5C? It might actually be this one, actually. That will make more sense. Alright, classroom 5B. Is there another manga here? Wait, what is Monokuma? No, I should ignore it. I'm just going to pretend I didn't see him. Right. There's actually despair saying there. Clock again, probably without handles. Alright, let's talk with Fujihiko. Jeez! When I went inside that room, or this room, that bastard bear just was suddenly here. He keeps glancing at me.
wonder why. It's gonna be shitty either way.
Damn right.
So I'll let you handle it. There's no way I'm gonna deal with that idiot. I don't wanna do that either. Fucking hell. Alright, Monokuma.
Hiya!
Why, hello, Hajime. I hope you are doing pleasantly well.
Poom, poom.
Are you pleasingly well? You're pleasingly well, right?
Is that actually what he said? Did he say, are you pleasingly well? He did say pleasingly. I just said pleasantly instead. What are you doing here?
No, no.
Well, there was another thing I needed to tell you on this floor. I got bored of drawing manga. Can you forgive me for telling you by word of mouth?
No, I actually can't. Because I have to do the voice some more. You should have done that from the beginning. I'm actually starting to feel, you know? Because this happened at the very beginning when I was doing a lot of the sort of different voices. I could really feel it in my throat, and that's sort of the fact that I took a 3-day break during which I didn't talk too much. Because usually when I record, I talk a lot, you know? And my voice/throat gets used to it. But that I'm starting to feel that 3-day break a little bit of not recording and talking as much. But we'll get past it, don't worry. You should have done that from the beginning. I don't want to read your manga in the first place.
A high school student who doesn't like manga is like a sumo wrestler who doesn't like eating hot pots.
I'm getting really fed up with your babbling. Hurry up. What did you need to tell me?
It's about that key piece of information you've been waiting for so long for.
What?
Surprise! It's about ultimate despair.
Huh? Like the thing that we know. It was revealed to be Junko, kinda, right? And was it actually her sister as well? I mean, it was at the very least Junko. Maybe it was both of them, right? But it was definitely said that she was like the head figure of it. Or like the head of the movement, or at least part of the movement. But it was definitely like a group, right? So he's gonna reveal more about it. Huh?
Ahem! Even though the term ultimate despair refers to a group these days,
Actually,
it was originally the title for a high school student who was the most powerful, evil, and feared person alive.
A high school girl?
yes indeed.
Lady Junko Enoshima.
Oh, okay. So it was just, okay, back then it was just one person, and I guess she just inspired a lot of other people with her actions, that it just sort of, you know, that people created a group called Ultimate Despair. Junko Enoshima?
Hey,
As the former ultimate despair, she created a despair brimming with charm and humor, and created the ultimate despairs.
Created? She created? Created in what way? Created in a similar way that Monokuma was created by, because, you know, the thing that, I mean, I think it's clear right now, right? That someone else is actually in control of the Monokuma that Junko created. But, I mean, remember kind of what he said in a previous, like, you saw that whole army of Monokuma. It could be something similar along those lines, that, you know? If one Monokuma like this is made, it wouldn't be too far-fetched that Junko is able to create multiple, you know, ultimate despair characters like Monokuma. They don't have to look like Monokuma exactly, or, you know, they can be entirely different, but they still represent the group of ultimate despair that she created. Huh.
There was one really horrible person in that group.
Don't fuck with me!
Hold on a sec. I don't know what the ultimate despairs are, but it's not that easy to form an organization. There's no way people will join some fucked up organization created by a high school girl.
Unbelievable.
Humans who are obsessed with their philosophy have an uncanny power to attract others. It's a trait shared by many famous leaders throughout history, right? There's nothing strange about it.
It's actually true.
Hey,
That holds true for Lady Junko. With her charismatic ability to attract people, she even influenced those in the highest echelons of power. Her connections were the main reason that incident became the tragedy in the first place.
So she even recruited people who would have been in a position to neutralize the threat.
Huh?
What was their purpose?
huh?
What?
you?
Like I said, why did they cause that incident? It doesn't even make sense. They had a purpose, right? There's no way they'd do what they did without any purpose.
Hey,
It was Junko Enoshima's despair.
Huh?
For Junko Enoshima, despair isn't about purpose, a set of principles, a way of life, or an instinct. Despair is what defines Junko Enoshima as Junko Enoshima.
What are you saying?
I'm a stuffed plushie. Hajime is a human. It's exactly like that.
And Enoshima is despair?
Junko Enoshima is full of so much despair that she's truly hopeless. Living, dying, eating, loving. For her, everything is despair. What the hell? With her overwhelming force of personality, Junko recruited the ultimate despairs one by one. She controlled their despair by taking advantage of their love, hate, grudges, anything really.
I mean, I kind of said that she created the ultimate's despair, but it could also just, that she influences other people to think similarly like her, to be influenced by despair. Therefore, create doesn't necessarily mean that you hand-build something,
Junko's despair is far more dreadful than any other. That idea had been slammed right into their minds. And so, the ultimate despairs who had been recruited became nothing more than Junko's limbs. All despair, whether it was their own or anyone else's, was dedicated to Junko Enoshima. Like believers making offerings to their god. Like a mother providing food for their children. To dedicate all despair so they could escape from despair. All in Junko Enoshima's name. For example, they killed their families and friends and even destroyed their bodies through relentless mutilation. And to hopelessly top it off, they completely believed it was something they had to do.
Definitely fucking brainwashed.
There's no way something that crazy is possible.
what?
Do you know about the final days of the reserve corps students during the tragedy of Hope's Peak Academy?
Final days?
In other words,
Junko has the power to change people's values. This is also true of famous people throughout history.
Hey, what do you mean final days? What happened to the reserve department?
of course.
They fulfilled their role as disposable limbs. They believed in what they needed to.
Or needed to do. Oh my, I feel like that the reserve department was actually just foot soldiers for Junko Enoshima, because they're seen as regular people, right, rather than ultimates. So she probably thinks that regular people are easier to brainwash, influence, change, or whatever, to however she wants them to, and to create them into their foot soldiers. So I feel like that's actually just the entire purpose of the student course department. But that would mean that this was already set in motion during the quote-unquote good times of Hope's Peak Academy. Or at least partly. Well, not necessarily, because, the bad times, I guess, kind of happened because they were in dire need of money, which is why they opened up the reserve department to begin with. But it seems like the plan was already starting back then, it seems like. Or Junko just used it to her advantage. She's like, oh wait, look at all these people that are here. I can easily influence them. And it's just like, it was just a kind of a coincidence that these people who are easily influenced were already there at at a convenient location for her. She's like, oh well, I might as well use that. Could be either one of those. But damn. But then,
And so, the 2,357 students of the reserve department all committed mass suicide.
mass suicide? But then why why is Hajime still alive then, considering he was supposed to be part of that?
What'd you say?
357 students?
Oops, it wasn't all of them. One person was excluded.
Hajime. One person was excluded. Huh? Is that me?
Damn it!
I don't believe it. There's no way I can believe this! Ultimate despair. Junko Enoshima! Huh, it doesn't scare me at all. I mean...
Bastard!
Junko Enoshima's already dead! How do you know? How the fuck do you know that? Huh? Ultimate despair. There she is. Reserve department has been updated. Okay, so it's been changed. What do you mean? Oh, how do you know that, Fuyuhiko? Hey, Fuyuhiko! Is it true what you said? Junko Enoshima is really dead? Huh? What? Didn't you see? There was a book called Manga for Morons. Killing school. Oh, okay. In that bloody classroom. What? God damn it. But what? Okay, so this is strange, right? Because I guess it could just be that they were the slow one, right? But then they would have to do it separately. That is really weird. Because the thing that I'm thinking about, right, is that they want us to read all of this because, you know, these mangas are placed in different sections of every class. So they obviously want us to read it in a specific order, which is why they're removing those quote-unquote invisible walls to us in a specific order as well, so that we read the mangas in the correct order that they want us to read it in. But Fuyuhiko seems to be ahead of us because the bloody classroom wasn't available for us, so we didn't read the Manga for Morons Killing School Life part at all. You know? So that's like, I'm just, the thing that I'm wondering about is like, how come Fuyuhiko had access to it but we don't? Do they really just like, is there really a person just looking at this very closely and looking like, alright, Fuyuhiko is now done with this part, let's remove the invisible wall for him, and then open up this invisible wall for him, so he's going to go to this classroom. Like, is he really micromanaging everything? But then, what if two people are done at the same time, and, you know, I'm done with the second classroom, and Fuyuhiko's done with the fourth? Like, how do they do it exactly? What? A bloody classroom? No, wait! What was that you said about the Killing School Life? Yep, we read about that. There's a whole manga for morons about that. It's actually kind of funny, you know, even if you didn't play Danganronpa 1, you can apparently, well, we don't know exactly what is inside the manga for morons, but to sort of catch up, I guess you could read the Manga for Morons Killing School Life to at least vaguely know what's going on. Kind of like the anime of Danganronpa, you know? You won't get all the details like you would in playing the game yourself, but still, you would at least know the, I guess, some of the important parts, at the very least. Like the killings we were involved in, they were killings that happened at Hope's Peak Academy. As I recall, the mastermind took her own life because the remaining students worked together to defeat her.
Well, yeah.
That's what it was. The Killing School Life ended up failing in the end. As a result, the 6 students who survived managed to escape from the academy.
Hey,
For a manga about the Killing School Life, it was drawn with a lot of silly images and dumb gags. According to that, the mastermind behind the failed Killing School Life was Junko Enoshima. The mastermind took her own life, which means Junko Enoshima is dead. It could just be someone, you know, like a body double, maybe, I don't know. Like, it could either be Junko Enoshima is dead or not, you know? You kind of have these two options. She's either dead or not. If she's dead, if she's not dead, then that could be imposter. Not, probably not, but a body double, perhaps. Someone to say like, you know, kind of how movie actors have body doubles. You could have, Junko could have a body double for herself as well. But if she is dead, then it's just, I guess, people continuing her legacy of despair.
like...
It turns out that the Skilling Cool Life? Did I really say Skilling Cool Life? Yeah, man. The Skilling Cool Life, where you get taught all the important skills that you need to be cool in life, rather than actually kill people. That sounds like a much better school, actually. But it turns out that Killing School Life was part of that whole biggest, most awful, whatever incident. Junko took away the memories of former students of Hope's Peak Academy and forced them to kill each other. Former students of Hope's Peak Academy. and she took away their memories. That's just like us. Apparently the whole thing was being filmed by surveillance cameras and broadcast worldwide. There's no limit to being a cruel asshole. The surveillance cameras were broadcasting the whole thing? So he's probably going to think right now, wait, are those things doing that here too?
So,
The students of Hope's Peak Academy are widely known as symbols of hope. By forcing people to watch these symbols of hope kill each other for the sake of survival, they were trying to fill everyone who watched the broadcast with despair all at once. That's messed up! But that messed up plan was stopped. Junko Enoshima failed. Junko lost to the students she placed in her trap, and after being overcome by the despair she created, she took her own life. Then Junko is no more. No matter how horrible she was, there's no reason to fear someone who's dead. Well, that's not really true. Like I kind of said, you know, the thing isn't. I feel like Junko isn't just a normal person. It's about her sort of ideology. The despair. That's what she stands for, right? So even if she's dead, the despair, as long as people have despair, she kinda still lives on in a way, right? It's kind of like, okay, this is probably a really bad example, but you know, not to say that we should fear Hitler anymore because he's been long dead, but his ideas are still being worshipped by some people, like the neo-Nazis and stuff, you know? There are still people that kind of think similar and worship him in a sense, so it's not like we should fear those Hitler still or something, but you know what I mean, right? People can still influence you or the world or anything else even beyond the grave just because of their ideas or their ideology or what they stood for. Like, it can be both in good and bad ways, of course, you know, like kind of like Martin Luther King, like he stood for. I'm actually gonna stop myself right there because obviously I'm not from America, so I have limited knowledge and I'm definitely not taught that in school either about American history, so I'm not even gonna say anything about it. But you know, even despite his death, he still has influence partly today, you know. So I don't think you should like completely brush her away, Fuyuhiko. That we shouldn't worry about Junko at all. Whether Monokuma's story is true or not doesn't matter.
bastard!
Junko Enoshima isn't alive anymore. Then who is our enemy? If Junko Enoshima is already dead, are the rest of the ultimate despairs behind this? Are the followers of Junko carrying out her will? That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, the killings we're involved in resembled that killing school life. Well, I don't know who the hell is imitating Junko and making us go through this, but an imitation is just that, an imitation.
No shit!
If the students from Hope's Peak Academy stop the real deal, there's no way we'll lose to some fake. But if this really is an imitation, are those surveillance cameras the same too? The cameras all over Jabberwock Island. Are they broadcasting to somewhere? Just like the surveillance cameras during that killing school life? Killing school life added. Junko updated? Has been updated, yeah.
Man! Hajime! You totally know about that story, huh?
What? Do you have a problem with that?
Well, I really wanted you to read the manga version, since I took the time to draw it.
Wait, that's bullshit. Didn't he say in a previous chapter that he can't draw? That's the reason why Monomi didn't draw her diary thingy either? Right?
What are you gonna do?
Oh well, I'll just raise the flag.
Flag? What do you mean, raise the flag? What's going to happen if you do that?
Ooh, how exciting!
One step at a time. You're getting closer to clearing my character out.
Ooh, can we date Monokuma after this? That's gonna be an abusive relationship. Holy shit. But, like, you know, what did he say? Something with flag? Raise the flag. I mean, you know, the French are kind of known for that by surrendering, but so it could mean that, or it's just, you know, giving a signal to the to the real person in charge that's like removing all these invisible walls and like saying, alright, they know everything, let's go to the next part, they got read all the mangas, you know? You're not making sense again.
Well now.
Now then, I'll give you guys my all. I'll tell you everything I know, including information on the outside and the inside. I'll raise them flags like crazy.
Right, Monokuma laid on me. He said he was gonna show us everything, right?